Okay, so I just want to give you guys this video a little bit, just kind of explaining a few things, because this will be a shock to all of you. But I was able to get early access to playing Stormgate and was provided this opportunity to where I was able to record content and make some videos. And one of the first videos that I just wanted to make, and a huge shout out to the FrostGiant team, is just kind of a few things that I've noticed so far while I was playing. Again, it hasn't been all that long, and I just wanted to give like kind of a general idea of what to kind of expect so far with Stormgate itself. So a few things that I just kind of want to really highlight when it comes to Stormgate is the responsiveness of all the units. Doesn't matter what faction, the responsiveness for the units is huge. It is, I will say, just so much better than even StarCraft 2, which is something that has been around for a while, and StarCraft 1 has been around even longer than that, you know. And the responsiveness and the smooth gameplay, both of those are just huge. I just can't give any other like words to that. Even not the best computers, they have some really good responsiveness and just smooth gameplay. Now, another thing that I personally have felt is a huge benefit to Stormgate and for new players in general is the hotkeys are a lot easier. And so I just kind of wanting to explain, so from my point of view, I play a lot of custom campaigns, and some abilities, when you're hitting like all the way on the L key or the I key or the J key, and you don't want to go through the hard work of setting up custom hotkeys, which I personally don't. And so the hotkeys for Stormgate are pretty close to where you would have your fingers anyway, and where you would use a majority of where you would have your fingers. A lot of the buildings use Z, Q, A, S, you know, a lot simpler than, like, for example, StarCraft 2. If you wanted to set up a custom hotkey, you know, the original hotkey for building a pylon was to press B, and then you had to press P, and then you had to change that to get it to set up to where you wanted. And the way that it's set up is to make it more accessible for newer players without having all of the technicality of having to memorize, okay, this is here on this keyboard, I need to make sure I press this, and then reach all the way across my other keyboard. Those are just some things that I personally have thought were just huge. And another thing that I thought as I was just playing is the grid style. The grid style is just on by default and is a lot better than, I would say, as of right now compared to StarCraft 2. And why do I say it that way is because in StarCraft 2 there is an option to turn it on and off. Currently there is no option to turn it on and off. It's just there, and the grid is less restrictive, meaning the way that the maps have been designed is that the grid style also benefits newer players as well. When they're trying to learn how to place or put buildings, they'll be able to easily see where something can go without these bright lights, big colors, and it will help players become accustomed to that. Now, one thing that Stormgate has, where I will say it kind of pulls from Warcraft 3, which is the creeps. The creeps of the game currently are, I wouldn't necessarily say underpowered or something that's underused. I do like the idea of the creeps. They're not as, I would say, how Warcraft 3 does it. When you try to level up your heroes, you get items. You do get some benefits. Some benefits from the creeps, I will say, are better than others. But others are kind of confusing on, on what it does, on what kind of happens with it, how it all like works, or when would you use this, is kind of more of when it would be more confusing compared to Warcraft 3, when you knew exactly when you should go onto like a different creep to get a better item, or just as like an example, it's hard to know on what you would want and when you would need it. Now, something else that is unique to Stormgate is instead of the units, or instead of you having a hero, you have units that can gain experience. And from gaining experience, whether they kill units, as far as I know is how you gain it, or creeps, they then level up, and the higher they level up, the stronger that unit becomes, gaining more health, higher attack speed, etc. It's really cool when it comes to the units gaining XP instead of a hero unit being on the battlefield for that. Now, the other highlight so far that I've just noticed is map design. Map design so far has just been overall really great. It's not overcomplicated, it's not confusing, it's not something that you can get lost in. It's very easy to know where it is that you need to go and where the enemy base will be, how you need to attack. All of that is pretty well explained just in the overall map design, and there's nothing too complicated about it, which I will say in the beginning of StarCraft 2's history, the maps were okay. Then Heart of the Swarm came out, the maps turned from being okay to there were some cool mechanics that they added to where they just changed that straight up to Legacy of the Void, which some of the stuff that was just changed just didn't, I personally just didn't understand why they would do that, and it just made some of the maps more confusing than others. Some of the maps were very cool, very easy and amazingly designed. Others just weren't. And so I really give it to the map design because it's just something that I thoroughly have enjoyed, and I'm excited to see where the map design later goes on from there. Supply for both factions currently that I have tried out, the supply is actually really good, very handy. I have not yet once been supply blocked, which I think is huge for new players, because each supply definitely gives you exactly what you would need without needing to run out, and it's very easy to get your supply up without having the need to feel like you're, oh crap, I've been supply blocked for a minute, didn't realize it. You know, there's not going to be any of that, and that's been so far in what I've played, and it's just been huge to me. I think that is a huge, great change in the design aspect, and love to see that from an RTS game. Now, I want to go from talking a little bit about the pros into what I think might need to be more so design tweaks, or a kind of a better understanding for newer players on when they go into, let's say they want to try 1v1s or figure out what needs to be tweaked. Now, I'm not talking about balance changes, I'm not talking about avoiding certain things or how to just improve gameplay overall, but more or less, I'll kind of go like this. The early defense for if someone rushes out just one type of unit, so far that I've seen, one unit can sometimes have the edge, and I'm not saying that that's just a meta, when it's more of there's not really like a counterplay currently from what I have seen from the games that I've played to be able to counter one unit if they just start massing one unit that can pretty much just dominate you and you can't really do much. Where in StarCraft 2, there was abilities to handle those types of rushes and to make the person actually do something else, and forces them to do something else, maybe that to where you could actually execute your plan type of situation. Now again, this could be because I may not understand all the units yet, but it just seems like the lack of counterplay in the early stages is very punishing. There's nothing like a photon cannon rush or anything like that, or like a tower rush, but there is just kind of this lack of, okay, let's say you get 3 grunts all of a sudden attacking your base, or you get like 4 zealots. You know, usually you could kite with having like a marine marauder type of thing and be able to kite and attack those units. From what I've seen, it's so hard to get to that point because they start massing this unit, and it just makes it to where it's very hard to be able to just defend yourself or figure out what do I need to build that actually like stops this from happening, and how do I get to that unit fast enough. Now, part of this reason I think is the tech trees are still in work, are still under development, I believe, and the tech trees themselves are currently very simple, and I think it's just to test all the units in general with the way that the tech trees are laid out. It's just I feel like there needs to be better options, or for a way to be able to have a better defense, or know like, okay, this person's doing this, I need to now make a unit like this if they start to mass that unit, you know, type of thing, because you don't really know from just playing. And I've asked around and the people, and I haven't really even gotten a response on what can actually counter this play. So if there's like an ability to make either a structure or something that can't be used in like a photon cannon rush type of situation, but if there's an ability to where it's easier to access a better defense, or ability to make it to where people are able to pretty much defend themselves, to make the games not necessarily longer, but to where both players aren't just doing one thing over and over again and just expecting it to happen without being able to, or they try to just outplay the other with that one unit, you know, because all the units are pretty cool, and I want to see more diversity rather than just one meta, this unit pretty much dominating everything. Now, creeps, again, going back to it, there needs to be kind of like more of a, even if like there's like a tooltip or an explanation, like this camp does this, or this camp will give you a bonus with this, would I think just be very helpful, like a tooltip. Now, if people have then memorized what those tooltips do, perfect, they give them the option to turn it off. I just think that there needs to be more of an explanation of what creeps do what, and why you would want to go after those creeps. Now, the resource creeps, obviously when you kill them, you'll get resources, but just the other creeps, like, I know it's a speed boost, but it's like, how fast? Is it when I'm in this area? Is it when I'm not? Do my units get it just from standing in it? Like, what benefits do I have is kind of where it, more of having that tooltip for the creeps would be very helpful for new players, so that way they can be like, oh, okay, I would use these units and I get this bonus from it, or I can use this and then do this to attack the enemy. Just some of these things would be very helpful and beneficial overall to how the game would be played. And these are just, again, my takes. I'm not saying anything is set in stone. A lot of things can be changed because this is still a beta. It's just some of the few things that I've noticed, and I just wanted to share that with all of you. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and please give it a like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.